Oh, I'll let Stephanie start off. She's a superstar. I mean, my gosh, the first time I met her about, she just, and I've talked a few times and at events with her, and she just brings the energy. First of all, she brings the knowledge. She brings the knowledge of what's going on in commercial. And I'm so glad to have her on today to just, I want this to be very conversational, Stephanie, for you to help our
Absolutely.
people understand what commercial is doing for us, how you present it maybe a little bit.
Yeah,
What do you think are the big points? And take over, my friend. Thank you for
I
coming
love
on
it.
today.
Thank you all for having me. And what is important is the backstory, because we didn't just wake up one day and say, oh, we're going to throw the word commercial with eXp and be open for business. We actually started this process February of 2020. And as many of you all have heard the stories of when Glenn founded eXp Realty and why, it was during that time of the economic crisis. So it made sense to change a model. So for commercial, to kind of start with that whole COVID and how offices were closing and how businesses were getting shut down, really made commercial brokers stop and think, what in the heck are we going to do? So at that moment, we did hire a third-party market research company that I worked with them hours a day. We did it for 4 months. We interviewed over 1,500 commercial brokers and agents across this country. What I wanted to know was everything I guessed I knew, but I wanted to be certain, and I wanted to learn more about what I didn't know, because we all get so specialized in our industry and in our market, but across the country and the globe, things are different and things change. And so what we were able to find out is what I already knew, which your big guys, your CBREs, your JLL, your Cushwaites, your Marcus and Millichap, your Lee Rod, all of those companies that you're used to hearing about. What we knew is yes, they were still a 50-50 and a 60-40 split. But what we found out during that research was that each and every one of those brokers and agents were affiliated with that company for one reason. It was because they were never taught how to survive outside of that network. What commercial companies do is they don't teach you anything. They want you to feel that you have to be at the CBRE or the JLL or any of those brands in order to be successful. So they don't teach those brokers and agents technology. They don't teach them how to properly evaluate different properties. What they have is an analyst on staff and a marketing person on staff that are clicking a handful of buttons, but they're not sharing with their brokers and agents the secret sauce to get there. And the thing about it is that, commercial real estate has always been a decade behind in technology when it compares to residential. But the truth of the matter is the tools are out there and they exist. And because these companies have made these brokers and agents feel that without that brand, they can't go be anything new, they've never looked. And so a lot of those questions that we asked them were exactly, what did they wish they had? Well, they wish they could do their own analysts and valuations on properties because, one, they would get things done a whole lot quicker. Commercial real estate technically works like government. Do we all know what that means? Slow. When we're able to do a valuation in 30 minutes and it takes a gentleman at CBRE 3 weeks to get it back from his analyst, what happens? Well, nothing's happened back then because they all operate at that same exact pace. So what we're trying to do is show people with the right tool belt of tools that they can leave those 50 and 60% commissions behind. They can come to eXp Commercial, get 80-20. They can tap into almost 60,000 agents that have opportunities and business to refer to them. And they no longer have to be self-sufficient on that brand that they've been affiliated with. None of these people, none of these brokers or agents in the commercial business have ever learned how to use social media. In the CBRE ICA, it says you will not use social media. They don't want them to go build their own brand. They don't want them to be anything. They want to keep the brokerage up here and the agent down here. because the longer they do that, the more they're going to get that 50%, the more they're going to get that 40%, right? And so what we have to show them is how simple and easy it is. So what we've been able to do is in a short time, demonstrate about every technology that exists in commercial real estate, which is over 300 tools. Now, a lot of those 300 tools overlap, and that's the thing that I understand to the T, because I've built my business on CRMs. I've built my business on social media. I've built my business utilizing more of that residential marketing focus, but applied it to commercial real estate. And that's why it worked. That's why in 21 years old, I was able to get into this business. And when every commercial broker looked at me and all I wanted was a seat at their table, they looked at me like I had a disease and sent me on my way, because they didn't want to invest in a 21-year-old woman, right? Well, here we can invest in anybody, because with the proper tool belt, we can teach these guys and gals how to be at eXp Commercial, not only build their brand, build their business, elevate them on our platform that has worked exponentially for realty, but also give them that seat at ownership. Also show them how we can help them build that residual income, because we all know the average transaction in commercial real estate takes 9 months to close. 9 months, 9 months, they can be waiting around for that next check. Another thing that we found out during COVID, and what we did was we did a follow-up of this market research about 3 months later of everyone that we had interviewed before. And we asked the questions, what has your broker done to pivot for COVID? What has your brokerage done to pivot for COVID? They took away things, but they didn't give them any more money. And so here's some statistics that are so important. The average commercial broker is a white male who's 62 years old, and they're the breadwinner of the family. Now, what does the breadwinner need? He needs to make a living. He probably needs health care, because none of these brokerages provide them health care. Even though they're taking half of their income, they're not giving them the agent health care package. And so when I speak to commercial brokers and agents, we talk about health care because it's a big need, okay? We talk about the tools. We talk about the way that what we have built, which is a product called eXp Enriched Data that is rolling out, and I've got demos of this. This is a way for anyone in the country, and we'll be in 7 countries as soon as we open it up, for anyone to be able to plug in some information and do a valuation in 30 minutes or less. There is no need to have an analyst. It replaces the analyst. Another thing that's extremely important is data, the access to data. So we've covered that with Enrich, but where it falls short, we've done the partnership with National Access Reonomy. And here's some statistics for you. Reonomy is $500 a month, but because of what Realty proved to have already done and still doing, I was able to go to Reonomy and say, look, we're ground floor. Do you want in now or do you want in later? And they said they wanted in now. So I was able to get that product for an eighth of that price because they want in now so that they get the agent count later. With Build Out Elite, which is our CRM, you all are used to on the realty side, TV Core. Build Out Elite is the most wanted CRM marketing center on the commercial side. But brokerages can't afford it because it's $870 per license per month, and they won't spend the money. I was able to make the friendship with Build Out, and together our team was able to negotiate that down. So for $250 a month, what we've put together in our value prop for eXp commercial brokers and agents is 1, Build Out Elite, 2, National Access Reonomy, 3, eXp's Enriched Data to where they can do a valuation in 30 minutes or less. 4, we have AIR CRE forms for every state, every single state. One of the hardest things in commercial real estate is to be able to have access to forms. You've got to reach out to attorneys. You've got to pay attorneys. You've got to convince the client to pay for attorneys. We went ahead and packaged every bit of that. So in our SkySlope transaction software, it is all there, every bit of it. We have Agent Hub, which is managing their website, which is also doing all their management of their social media. It's teaching them how to put in Facebook and LinkedIn and capture all the leads that can be brought in. We're basically retraining these individuals to do business in a way that it's going to expand and grow them as an individualized broker agent with eXp Commercial, but it's also putting 80% of the money back into the pocket, 20K cap, teaching them the residual income, earning equity, and these are nothing that they have. There's nothing out there that competes with it, and that's why it's almost an easier sell than it is on the realty. There's a lot of amazing things that we have, put together, but a lot of what I wanted to make sure that we were able to share with you all today is that, one, you had an opportunity to ask questions. I went over this on the call a little bit at the very end last week, but the big important thing here, eXp Commercial is a separate brokerage, and we are a separate brokerage for one reason and one reason only. Commercial practitioners do not want to be realtors. We are not realtors. So when you're making the call to a commercial agent or broker that is not at a residential firm, definitely do not introduce yourself as a realtor. They don't want to talk to you. It's almost like, Gene Frederick calling Gary Keller's, back in the day one and saying, I just got my license yesterday, but I want to list your house, right? I mean, you don't disclose your brand spanking new and you're begging for it, but that's how they look at realtors. They don't want to do business with realtors. Will they do business with realtors? Absolutely. But it's an insult to call them a realtor because they're not. And a lot of times people are like, but I don't understand why. Well, it's simple. There's a lot of different standards of practice when it comes to the National Association of Realtors. I'll be honest, I am a realtor, so I have nothing against it. But the CBREs, the JLLs of the world, majority of the areas that we do commercial business, even in my market, Louisville, Kentucky, the multiple listing service gives us no added benefit. We can't advertise commercial there. We can't get anything from them that services commercial. It just doesn't exist. And so it's not worth forcing every single agent of eXp Commercial to pay the board and MLS dues when there's not going to be anything to help them or service them. And so that's the big reason why we're separate. All right. Well, can I open it up for questions? I'm glad you asked that because that is, here's what we've done. Because I got into this business and absolutely fumbled. There was nowhere I could go to learn. Jim Wong, our president, same exact thing. So he and I both share this passion for education and agent development. In commercial real estate, we don't call it training because they take offense to that. So we call it development. All right. So what we have built with two of our commercial designated managing brokers, one came from Marcus and Millichap. For 24 years, he taught across the country every new to the business agent that had joined Marcus and Millichap. He did it since 1994. I was able to hire him just this past January. And so today we started. So anyone with their license with eXp Commercial, they get enrolled in the Accelerate program. It starts them at ground zero. We go not only do we go through the eXp tools and systems because they are a little different, especially the virtual world, but we also go through the product specialty types. We go through valuations. We go through how to look up data. We go through leasing 101, leasing 102. We go through everything. It's an 8-week course. It's 1 hour a day, Monday through Friday in eXp world. And we want to change the statistics. So basically, the statistics now are 2 out of 100 make it in commercial real estate when they're brand new to the business, 2 out of 100. I want to see us change it to 80 out of 100. And the way we've written this program, we have. But here's the thing, just like anything else, And I've heard Gene say this a lot. You can't sit there and wait for that agent to say, will you sponsor me into eXp? Same thing in real estate. You can't wait and think that you're going to go out and be successful. You've got to plug into it. But the ones that are going to plug into this, 1 hour a day for 5 days a week for 8 weeks is minimal when you are building a career. And this is training that doesn't cost them anything extra. It's included in the $250 a month. So this is going to be game changing, because what we want to do at eXp Commercial is I also want to lower the average age of that commercial broker agent from 62. I'd like to see it down around the 40s. And if we're able to do that, that means we're breeding our own talent. And that means we are so far wide open than just the 750,000 commercial practitioners that exist in the United States. Does that make sense? And so we have invested heavily into education and agent development for that reason. We also have our third commercial symposium coming up the last week of July, July 26th through the 30th, expcommercial.com/events. I want you to get on your LinkedIn and in your Facebook, go to expcommercial.com on either site. And I want you to invite anybody and everybody you know in real estate. And here's why. Monday and Friday, the 26th and the 30th, are advanced. We're going to have some of the best speakers from CCIM, SIOR, to our internal eXp Commercial, heavy hitters that are doing a ton of business already and have already joined us, to also on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, we're having the National Commercial Real Estate Association in, and they teach Intro to Commercial Real Estate. This certification normally costs $500 for anyone to register and take it on Zoom. For us, it's going to be free. So Gene talked about in this call early on that he stays in touch with agents because he feels they have cancer and he feels like he has the cure. There's nothing greater than to send a direct message through Facebook or through LinkedIn saying, hey, I know you've had success in real estate. Thought you'd like to learn more about commercial. You should take this free certification class. We're not telling them we want anything from them. We are inviting them. I invited 437 people to our last one. We had a total of 8,800 attendees, 8,816 to be exact. So when I had time, I invited 437. 63 of them signed up. What if you could sponsor 63? I mean, that is some of the things that you need to look out for. And we have got it. We've got the best of the best. There's no other, I don't care who they are. If they're KW Commercial Division, if they're JLL, if they're Cush, I don't care who they are. None of them have any training worth it. What they do, their training is you come on board, you put your license with them, and they make you follow a senior advisor around, and you make zero money for 2 years. That is how they train. We're giving it to people. We're showing them how to get listings. We're showing them the way, like I said, applying some of the things that we've done in residential, but bringing it into commercial, and we're training them that way. We have got already brand new to the business agents that have been on board 6 weeks who already have closings. One's $3.5 million, one is $6.2 million, and then there's some that are much smaller. But they knew nothing, but they are sitting through this training and they're truly learning how to do it. One of the great things that they're going to be able to see is how small we have shrunk the world when it comes to the collaboration between the residential side of this company and the commercial side. Just to give you another statistic, we have had over $700 million in commercial referrals from the realty side over to eXp Commercial since February of 2021. That's huge. If you've watched any of our commercial explains on Thursdays that we do, and we do have a YouTube channel that you can go back and watch those or share them with people, that's exactly who we have on, are people who have joined eXp Commercial, and they all talk about it. They all talk about how they came onto this platform and instantly started getting business. We have a gentleman, Dave Fine. He's down in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. He was with Keller Williams for 12 years. He walked into the office every day. He was the only commercial agent in the entire office. He got 3 referrals in 12 years. We had him on eXp Commercial Explained several weeks back, and it was his 3rd week with the company, and he had already gotten 6 referrals in 3 weeks. And so he was sharing this with me in the world one day, and I said, Dave, I got to have you on eXp Commercial Explained, because this is what the public needs to hear. These are the opportunities that exist, and we're able to do in a way that no other company can, because we're not operating in those silos.
Stephenie, what a great presentation. We need to get this all
Love it.
from you if we could, because we can send it out to our folks here.
So let's talk about another spectrum. Let's talk about, we know about eXp commercial real estate. We know about commercial real estate. We know when there's properties involved. But one of the other big things for us is that we do have people that specialize in business brokering. That's all they do, is sell businesses. They represent businesses. And we are insured to do that as well too. On the realty side, you all can't do it based on what your independent contractor agreement reads. With us, we absolutely do business brokering. So business brokering is a model of about 350,000 business brokers across the nation. You'll hear brands like Sunbelt, Transglobal, and then some independents. And when we say commercial real estate is about 10 years behind residential, they're about 30. They read reports that still get published in a manual, okay? It's a book of about 8,000 pages that you have to purchase when you're a business broker every single year and have it shipped to you. And you've got to flip through this thing trying to determine what businesses are worth or what different franchises are worth and all this nuts. So that is another industry that we can absolutely do at eXp Commercial. And so you'll see eXp Commercial for business. Business brokers like to be called advisors. And so what we do and what we're working on is with our eXp enriched data, which is our data platform. You know, we're building our own data. We're going to own our own data. We won't be self-sufficient on a co-star or that bad word that irritates me every day. But we're going to also put the business brokering in that. It's going to take time. But one of the great things about that is nobody in this industry has ever thought about it. And so as I start to have these conversations with business brokers across the country, and I talk to that level, that intrigues them. And then they understand that if we all come together in a platform, how much easier it's going to be. Because if you're the best of the best, you're the one selling all the businesses anyway. Let's all bring it together and let's all share in the data. And so that's another way that you can look at how do we grow eXp Commercial. And so when the business broker goes, well, that commercial, that's real estate. No. We have eXp Commercial for business. And we have all the same tools for those business brokers to get into today's age and time. The biggest headache that's going to come is so many of them are not technological savvy. And the average is 69 years old. 69, but there's a whole avenue of people that we can train, that we can develop, that we can bring into this platform and make them successful. So be thinking about those relationships as well too, because that is, again, a $350,000 market. And business brokering, everyone says, well, give us an example. It's 5 million and below. Technically, it's 5 million and below as far as the sale of businesses and what they're worth. When you go above 5 million, you're talking more to the merger and acquisitions person, okay? Now, in most states, to be a business broker, well, I'm going to take that back. In 36 states, you have to have a real estate license in order to sell and represent businesses. In the rest of the states, you have 0 license. So we do have to require them, if they're in one of those states and they don't have a license, that they have to get a real estate license in order to join because of revenue share and stock and so forth, okay? But most of them, I would say, a good 70% of them already have a real estate license. It's 11 a.m. Eastern, so 10 a.m. Central, and it's every Thursday. And all you have to do is send them the link to expcommercialexplained.com. They'll register. And what's great about it is on the form, we built in if an agent invited them. So if they register themselves, we'll be able to know who brought them to the call and let you have a heads up with them. And just say if they attended. And I appreciate that, Allison. And I think that's, what's great is when you have that back and forth, when you have somebody questioning and when you are able to just back it up, it's easier for me because I kind of built it, behind the scenes, we built it so I can speak to it in my sleep. My husband will tell you, I give the presentation every night in my sleep, it just rolls off the tongue. But knowing enough about what it is that we're trying to do when it applies to commercial, that's the big thing. There's been a lot of realty agents that, the message is just wrong. You've got to have that message just right, because it is separate from realty with all the same greatness though behind the scenes. You sponsor a commercial agent, you're going to rev share. If a commercial agent comes on board and they sponsor a realty agent, they're going to rev share off that. So all of that is shared, but it's the upfront model of knowing what those tools are, and being able to tell them, the CRM is Build Out Elite. And our slide deck is extremely extensive. So, and it's always up to date on expcommercial.com. Even when we're adding systems and tools, we update it immediately. So that version is always accurate.
Thank you, Stephenie. This is phenomenal, guys. And you know what's funny is commercial agents are always looking for referrals. When she said the referral part, it's amazing. We're close to 60,000 agents. And when they find that out, they don't even know that. They don't know we have 60,000 agents that don't know commercial that want to refer to them.
Absolutely.
When I sold real estate, I always had my commercial guys I was referring to, because I'm like, I don't want to learn that junk, And so those are the stories you need to tell, because most of them are not getting referrals, especially if they're an independent, especially if they're, been at one of the big firms for a long time.
And, that's a great question to ask them. If they say their business has been phenomenal, okay, say then, how many referrals did you get last year? What if you can come on board to our platform, integrate with our systems where two companies are speaking together in workplace all day long, every 5 minutes, and pick up another 50 million in deals?
Do you have a specific place that we should look for these commercial agents? Obviously, we could go on the big sites and look for them. I just didn't know if there was a way that you were training agents how to find, I call it movers and the shakers. It's just a question.
Every day, and I started this a long time ago, not since commercial, but a long time ago before that. And every morning I make it a point to make 100 new connections on LinkedIn. It's just my routine. While I'm waiting for my coffee to brew and I'm drinking it at 4 a.m, that is what I do religiously every single morning. And so specifically, it used to be about real estate, but specifically now it's all about commercial and business brokering. And then I am inviting them to different things. I sat on a fireside chat with Reonomy, the founder of Reonomy, last week. After I got off that call, I had 714 new connections on LinkedIn just because I sat on that platform, which is great because, we're limited to the number per week that we can connect with, which is why I do 100 a day, because that's the maximum. So, but that's what I would recommend doing if this is something that you all seriously want to, to make sure that you open up into. Gene, Herehold in Nashville. So I told him, I said, listen, he is so scared to speak about commercial real estate because he knows nothing. Okay. And I'm like, you know what, John, that's okay. But I want you every day to send out at least 80 invitations to our commercial symposium. And I want to see when those agents register or you go on and register for them, I want to see John Herehold, invited by John Herehold, invited by John Herehold. He's got over 130 something registered, signed up for the event in July. And he has a reason to speak to them all the time now. He has a reason to speak to them. And, you know, they ask, well, what is this? What's the purpose of this for? Well, you know, I've been seeing you've been doing great in residential real estate, but why not expand yourself to commercial, or at least hear about it? So it's a way that you can also tap into the residentials with giving them added value. So use us to give, you know, the conversion, and I don't know if Jim brought this up at QBR, Gene, or not, but the conversion from our last commercial symposium that we did in April to join Realty was over 3,000 agents. That's huge. So use us to help you on either company. Makes sense.
That's awesome.
And we're adding value. You know, what company has the ability to get 8,800 people in a virtual world, and for 50 hours, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, give them anything and everything they'd ever want to hear, learn, know, and stuff they didn't know about commercial real estate? Who can do that? Who has the power? When they experience that power, there's no way they're not going to answer that phone call when you reach out going, hey, how'd you like it? They owe you something.
Yep. That's awesome. That is phenomenal.